Richard, does my face hurt? Do I have a mark on, or does my face hurt? I said that wrong. Do I have a mark on my face? Now I ruined it all. Do I have a mark on my face? Not here, not here, right here. Yes, that is from the iconic scene from Tommy Boy. And it is hilarious. And it perfectly captures something very real about how emotions can hit us. Sometimes it's like a sneak attack. They kind of just sneak in on us and slowly build. And other times, like a two by four to the face, which is how I felt this morning. And I kind of anticipated it this week, and I'll explain as we go a little bit, but I kind of anticipated it was going to happen as this week is the anniversary of my sister's death and first anniversary of her death. And, but this morning, it really hit me hard. And we can laugh at the moment from Tommy Boy, but I want to get real. How many of you have had kind of a random moment in the middle of your day? Maybe it's during a meeting, maybe it's when you're driving to or from work, or even in the middle of dinner, where you're suddenly overwhelmed, sad, anxious, or just foggy and detached. And you might not really have any idea where it's coming from. And like I said, it happened to me today. And I I knew what I was going to say in this meeting, and I knew that it was being a little bit of vulnerable about this week. And then someone else shared something vulnerable, and someone else shared something vulnerable, and then someone else said something that kind of snowballed it even more. And then for a couple of hours, it really hit me for a couple of hours. And these out of nowhere emotions usually are not coming out of nowhere. They are usually coming from things that we haven't processed, emotions and thoughts and feelings that we just haven't processed. And they're sitting there under the surface. It's stress that you don't give yourself time to feel. It's resentment that you feel from being overextended again and again and again. Or it could be grief, maybe buried under 17 different things on your to-do list. And you've heard me talk about this with my sister, about how long it took me to actually feel the weight of her loss. And sometimes I still don't always let myself feel it. And then, like today, it comes out of nowhere. Women leaders, especially high performing ones, we have learned to compartmentalize. And for a while, it works until it doesn't. This is your nervous system saying, I just can't hold this anymore. The book The Body Keeps the Score says, but sometimes the scorecard shows up like a breakdown in a board meeting or a blow up at bedtime. So oftentimes when we're pushing things down, when we're stuffing things or ignoring them or avoiding them, they will blow up at in another space that has some minor trigger that then sets off that emotion. When emotions hit, most of us do one of three things, and none of them are helpful long term. The first one is to power through. You tell yourself, I'll deal with this later, but then later never comes. This is what creates emotional debt. And the interest rate is very high on emotional debt. You will end up paying in the long run. The second way that we often deal with these emotions that is not helpful is by numbing out. We might choose wine or food or scrolling social media, overworking, overhelping. And then it's just like you say to yourself, when this season is over, when this project is over, when this quarter is over, then I can rest, then I can take care of myself. The third way that is not helpful in terms of how we often react to these is to snap at someone or to maybe cry and feel shame about the fact that we're crying or feel shame about the fact that we're actually feeling this when we think we should be over it. And we often might think, what is wrong with me? It has been a year or it has been whatever. I've dealt with this. I've handled this. I've felt this before. But there is nothing wrong with you. This is your body looking for support. This is your body doing its job. So let's talk about what you can do instead. So instead of powering through, numbing out, or reacting, what can we do instead? But before we cover that, I really just want to say I am not here to judge how you handle your emotions. I have done all three of these, and I still do some of them. And I want to offer you just some other way, a different way, one that is really about care and compassion for yourself, for your inner self, and not control. I want to offer you a way that you can slow down. And I don't mean slowing down for hours and being by yourself or taking a spa day or something like that. And sometimes that's needed. But it's how can you slow down in the moment to pay attention? So that's the first step. This moment by moment self care, this moment by moment paying attention to those emotions so that they don't end up locked in your body and blowing up at someone at a later date. Just pause and notice, what am I feeling right now? Even if you can't put a name on the emotion, and if you'd like, I have a great tool that gives you like 21 at least different emotions. I think it's more like 35 or 40. And it sometimes helps in naming the emotion. But if you can't name it, then see if you can just notice it. Is it tight? Is it heavy? Is it big? Is it small? Is it vibrating? Is it hot? Is it cold? Don't try to fix it. Don't try to explain it. Just be with it. Just see if you can notice it and see if in the noticing anything shifts. This is really the first step in nervous system regulation, in co-regulating, what they call co-regulating your nervous systems, is just to pause and notice. And this can take a few seconds. The next step that you can do is to just breathe and soften. I don't know if you notice, I just, sometimes when I get excited and I start doing this, I notice my shoulders coming up. Take a deep breath. And what that deep breath, the way that you want to take deep breaths when you're trying to bring your nervous system back into the parasympathetic nervous system is to breathe in. Oh, that just made me yawn. And then breathe out twice as long. So it doesn't have to be 4 and 8 or 3 and 6 or whatever. It's just whatever your breath is in, double that count going out. And see if you can just put your hand on your chest, soften your shoulders, let your jaw get loose, get untightened and unclenched. And just let your body know, I'm here. I am with you. I am safe. You are safe. I am here. I am with you. You are safe. So that's the second step. The third step is to really ask yourself, or even ask that part of you, that emotion, wherever you feel it, whether, some people feel it in their chest, some people will feel it in their gut, some people will feel it in their throat, the back of their head. Ask that emotion or ask yourself, what do I need? What do you need right now? Ask that emotion, what do you need right now? And see if it might be space, a walk, a cry, to cancel something that's on your calendar to give you extra space. Not what should I do, not what do I need to do, based on what other people need. Because like for me this morning, what I needed to do was get work done. I had work I needed to do. And I was doing some things. What I noticed was I couldn't focus as deeply. So I found something where I needed to do kind of a high level review of something. And so I did that because I knew it didn't need as deep of focus and attention as I would normally give things. So that's step three. What do you need right now? What do I need right now? And this is often so opposite of how we've been trained in corporate cultures. We often think about what other people need first. What do I need to be doing for this project, this person, this team, whatever? And then step four is to give yourself permission to give yourself what you need, what you want, whether that's the space, a walk, a cry, whatever it is. Give yourself permission to have that, to give that to yourself. Give yourself permission to feel. If it's grief, give yourself permission. And grief doesn't always have to look like crying. For me today, it did for a while. And throughout the entire day, even after the tears were gone, I just let myself feel the grief. Maybe it's giving yourself permission to rest. Maybe you need to, you know, the woman I work for said to me, why don't you just go home? And then right then someone else walked up, or a few minutes later, someone else walked up, and we had a presentation we needed to work on. And just in that conversation with her, I could feel the emotion kind of abating a bit. And so I was able to actually dig in and get a little bit more focused on something I needed to do. But I allowed myself to I gave myself that permission to feel everything I was feeling and at one point throughout the afternoon when I was starting to feel it again, I gave myself permission to go get a cup of tea. I went downstairs to the Starbucks and got myself a cup of tea. And it might be that you just give yourself permission to not be productive for 5 minutes. I did that for 5 minutes today. Set my timer, and for 5 minutes, I just putzed on my crossword puzzle. This is how you end burnout. In these moments, moment by moment, attending to what's there, being present with what's there, being attentive to what's there. Because when you aren't attentive to it, when you stuff it down, when you push it away, it's like a kid in a white room with a red crayon. It is just going to come back with a vengeance. A kid who wants candy and you're not giving it to him with a red crayon in a white room. It's just going to go nuts. Or as my old coach used to say, it's like giving a kid a knife. Craziness. So the 4 steps, just to review them again. The first one is to pause and notice. What am I feeling? And if you can't name it, name the sensations that you're feeling. Name the vibration and where it is and what it feels like, how big it is, all that. The second step, breathe and soften. Deep breath, in for a count, out for double that count. And then ask, what do I need right now? And fourth, give yourself permission to give yourself that thing. Emotions are not enemies, they're messengers. And they will come back with a vengeance if you ignore them, if you try to stuff them down. And when they come swinging like that 2x4 in Tommy, it's usually because we have ignored those whispers for far too long. You do not need to power through. You don't need to hold it together. You just need to find the rhythm. What works for you? What is that rhythm? And I'm going to give you one last thing that I forgot to add in here from a coaching program that I went to years ago. Gosh, it was 10 years ago. What they said is that if in the moment you can't allow yourself to really feel that emotion, which oftentimes emotions don't need tears, they don't need screaming, they don't need a reaction, they just need to be felt. And so sometimes you can do that all alone. I mean, by yourself, you could be in a meeting with 15 people and be processing an emotion. And if you really think that you need like to allow yourself to cry, then make yourself a promise that when you get home at a specific time, you're going to find a little quiet space and give yourself permission to cry. And it might not happen at that moment. And you want to keep your promise because essentially it's like making a promise to your inner child, giving yourself that permission to feel, and you want to keep that promise. But find that rhythm, find that moment to moment rhythm of when you need to be present with you versus being present with everyone else. It allows you to be human again, to feel again, to breathe again, instead of crunching those shoulders up like this, to really allow them to drop down, as they say, and let your shoulder blades drop into your back pockets. If this hit home for you, whether you're in a place of exhaustion or you're emotionally numb, like you don't feel anything anymore, or you get knocked over like a two by four with emotions out of nowhere, I invite you to book a call with me. Let's talk where burnout is showing up in your life and let's just chat. Let's have a conversation about what you're experiencing and what your vision is for a life without burnout. This is the work that I do. I don't just help people end burnout, I actually help them create a life they love. I help you come back home to yourself, to allow yourself to feel and be all of who you are, moment by moment, day by day, week by week, year by year. Thanks for joining me. And especially if you're joining on the replay, type replay in the comments. And again, if you want that tears of emotion, put tears, T-I-E-R-S, tears of emotion, the T-I-E-R-S, put tears in the comments. And DM me if you'd love to set up a chat and see about ending burnout. Thanks for joining.